Well, howdy, y'all. This is Jason, the owner and founder of Southern Bush Motorsports. We have a really good Tales from the Bush for you today. This was a place deep in South Carolina bayou. Well, I wouldn't call it a bayou, maybe the swamp area. And it was an old tow yard. And this guy's father had this place back in the 60s and 70s, and they were into racing back then. And the kid said he remembered. Guy said he remembered growing up with the race cars and that. So a lot of these cars out there were stripped. But let me tell you something. You want to talk about where the weird cars went? They must have all went here. Because there was 429, 428 Super Cobra Jet Cyclones. There was a 428 Super Cobra Jet Mach 1 Mustang body. There was some crazy cars, but they just wanted the motors out of them. They didn't care back then that it was a 429 Cyclone. That's a 429 Cyclone right there, I think. These pictures are a little bit mixed up. I need to find another folder, so I'll do a part 2 on this, but there was some super cool cars, but it was one scary place to walk through. In the Deep South, we have rattlesnakes, black malas, and we have brown recluse spiders and black widow spiders. Black widow spiders are notorious, in my experience, building webs in between these two cars. Look at that right there. 429 Cyclone. It was absolutely crazy, the cars that were out in this guy's place. But you can see with that, I think that's a Camaro right there. That South Carolina heat just bakes the paint off the car. And because you're right by the ocean there, it does do a little bit of rust damage too. So I can't remember what this is. I think it was a Javelin. He had lots of Javelins, Cyclones, Camaros, Chevelles. I actually think there was a Charger there. I can't remember. But, you know, when y'all are looking at these pictures and stuff, you got to remember something, that I retired 12 years ago. So I couldn't tell you if these cars were still there, and I wouldn't want to send people on a wild goose chase. Unless it's a really big yard, I might, have an exclusive group where I give away tips. Look at all these old station wagons. There was 100 of them. Every one of them was completely untouched. And I mean, nothing done to them. That was underneath the hood of one of those cars. That was a big block motor in that thing, under the hood of one of those station wagons. And that's why they kept them, was for the motors. They were hardcore racers. But I remember I picked up some of these cars, but these cars were so buried and the trees were growing up around them so bad that extracting them was just almost not possible. Lots of Mach 1 Mustangs, lots of Mustangs there, but these cars were stripped, and I mean they were really stripped. But like that Javelin right there, that looked like it was an original paint Javelin, not a single part missing off that car. And some of the cars they never touched, some of them they did touch. Look at these Mustang bodies. But you got to remember, some of these cars you're looking at, I hope I included the picture in it, but there was one Mustang car. I went past this car so many times, I don't know how many times. And one day I decided to get the VIN number off it and run it, because it had this look to it. Something was up with this car. So I called a couple people and that, and I got a call back from a guy. He says, do you have that car? I'm like, I'm in a junkyard right now, and there's a body. There's nothing left of it. There's that Javelin again. I'm like, there's nothing left of the car, but, the numbers are here and the body's here. And he's like, how much do you want for it? And I'm like, who are you and what are you willing to pay? And he's like, his name was Marty. I think he's famous for something. I don't know what it is, but... And he really wanted the car. There's another Cyclone. And it turned out, when it was all said and done, obviously he wouldn't tell me what the big deal about the car was. It was some 428 Super Cobra Jet track pack 4-speed demo car or something like that everybody had been looking for. There's another Cyclone GT. And of course, I didn't know that. So I missed the window on that one. But supposedly everybody had been looking for this car. He had me drag that car out of there that day. He paid me a ridiculous amount of money to put it on my trailer and drag it out and bring it to him. There was a lot of situations, not like this part right here, but there was a lot of situations where cars were piled on top of each other. There was Cougar XR7s, the Cyclone GTs, Torino GTs, just everything you could think of, that kind of weird and off stuff that nobody really cares about, but it was just insane. Believe it or not, that blue car right there was a Boss 302 Mustang. I remember running the numbers on that thing, and I couldn't believe that thing was just sitting there. I think that's another Cyclone GT 429 car, 428 car, I'm not sure. But you know, the family that had this place, they were bracket car racers, I think. They just wanted the roadways to get back into the forest. But they were, I think, bracket racers or circle car racers. They just wanted the motors out of these cars. And also, they did a lot of towing. So a lot of these cars ended up at their place. You know, like I've said before, back in the 60s and 70s, you left the car on the side of the road too many days, and you're going to lose that thing. So look at that 4-speed pedal set up there. Manual shift pedal set up there. But, I mean, a lot of those cars that you see right there are all 428 cars, 429 cars, Super Cobra kits, so Cyclone GTs. The place was just full of them. All those cars could have been saved. I think it was a 73, 74 Challenger, pretty untouched car. Everything was still there. But no super, there was super rare stuff there. But it'd be impossible to get it out. Even if you had forklift, the cars were so buried in there, that's why they just started stripping parts off of them. Cougars, Mustangs. You can see how solid the bodies are on these cars. It's just all burnt surface rust. There's another Cyclone GT. The only bonus to the place, if somebody was to get in there, was that just the motor was taken out. Most of the cars were completely untouched. A couple dusters right there. But most of the cars that would be worth saving were untouched. The interiors were still in them. The transmissions were usually gone, but the rest of the car was all there. They just wanted the motors out of them. They were diehard about getting these motors. You know, this fella here, another Cougar, not a Cougar, Cyclone. Look, it's solid. Just that Carolina heat burns up these cars, you know. A Challenger sitting there. I think it was a Challenger. But, you know, it was really cool going through this place. It was just scary, and it's a lot of work because you're climbing over cars and stuff. Look at all those things right there. He had a lot of Ford Torinos. There was a bunch of Cobra Torinos in there. It was just insane the amount of stuff that was there. But it just, like I say, the crappiest part about it was none of them had engines. You can see, none of them have engines right there. They took all the engines out. There's that Javelin again. I like that thing. That's the first time I had actually ever seen a Javelin. And I kind of fell in love with the cars. AMX cars. Really neat stuff. Look at that. A car piled on top. You know, as a car guy, I would kill for that car right there. That Mach 1. And he's got a truck sitting on top of it, I think. I mean, he put it there carefully, but the whole yard was, at one point, his dad had organized it. There was rows of stuff. It was set up for people to come and pick your own parts. Now, this right here was I think it was a Coronet. And at first I thought it was a factory convertible. I got all excited about it and stuff and took pictures, and then I realized that they had just cut the top off the thing. You know, and I was like, oh my goodness, what have they done with this thing? But right there, you know, I think that's a 318 car. But talk about a straight hoop-de-doo car. But the craziest thing about this car was how solid it was. It was a shame that somebody had cut the top off the thing. It was actually a really solid car. But, you know, what can you do? They put a roll cage in it and they welded it and they just cut the top off. But one of the funniest things about it is whoever it was that cut the top off this thing did one hell of a job. I mean, it almost looked like it was a factory convertible. And the car was super solid. Just a bit of a weird car, but, you know, it would have been nice if the top wasn't cut off of it. So while you're looking at these pictures here, I want to throw everybody a bone, because I remember this place really well. So here it is. If you saw something in the pictures that you like, listen, again, like I said, this is probably 10, 12 years ago. But this place is in Effingham, South Carolina. That's Effingham, E-F-F-Ingham, South Carolina. And the place is called Effingham Motors. Effingham Motors. And the guy that ran the place, I think it was one of the sons, his name was Kenneth, but he liked to be called Ken. And I'm telling you right now, if you decide to make the trip out there, the guy's a weird coot. He definitely knows what he's got. And the craziest thing about it all, when I got to know him a little bit, all the 429 and 428 Cobra Jet motors, whatever, that they took out of these Cyclones and Torino GTs and stuff, he still got every one of them. They're all sitting in a building. So for the fans that actually listen all the way through the videos, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start revealing some of these locations because I'm retired now. Doesn't matter to me. But, you know, I used to go, I didn't look for cars that were in people's backyards or sitting on the front of the house where they just want people to come and talk to them. I went to World History Library. So Johnny went off the bridge with a 69 Hemi Charger. Well, that Charger's still down there because they didn't go and do it. Didn't go and get it. So hope you enjoyed this, and make sure you stay tuned for more Tales from the Bush.